There's Stoker.
Did someone mention the bat?
Yes.
Well, in he flaps.
And there he be. It's our friend, the bat is he.
'Tis me. So this is one of those puzzle boxes that opens a portal to hell, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure.
I fully expect the Cinnabites to show up when I finish this.
No,
I mean-
it doesn't open a portal to hell. This is the box that contains all of humanity's fears.
I mean, same thing.
I already played the demo, so I finished about like half of the levels on the demo. But most of these are very simple. This is how you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, you cannot push a box from off of a wall. You need to be able to pull it out. That's how you play Sokoban. Yes, we know. Thank you. Okay, now here's the actual mechanic.
If you like squeeze into a smaller area, you can have a recursive thing, or you just get into a smaller area.
How squishy.
You have to push it against the wall in order for that to happen. Otherwise, you just push the box. I'm going through these very quickly, but I'm sure several people's brains have already broke.
I think that was an inevitable result. I don't think it matters how fast you're going.
These are some general puzzle-solving tips I find useful.
The Easter bun bun. Ah, so you are a bun bun today.
Yes. I'm Eastering it up.
Sounds good to me.
I know those tips for solving puzzles. Playing puzzle games forever.
Why is my mind just going to Mr. Easter? East me
Only you can answer that question, Miller.
Oh. Yes, Easter's next weekend.
God, it's that soon. It's hard to believe.
I had to actually go and look it up because A, I didn't know off the top of my head, and B, I need to figure out if I want to make something for it.
I love the squish. So magnificently squish.
Yes, this was a very weird one. Achievement unlocked. Challenge puzzle. Use mouse button to zoom in and out.
Well, ain't that spiffy-doo?
Oop.
What?
Nothing, just what Boxer's saying in chat. He's asking for a little much there.
Series of bunny pigs for Easter.
Doing all the challenge levels because I'm not afraid of them.
He has no fear. Get like 2 levels in, and then Rick will be like, I have 1 fear.
I don't think this is gonna do anything. Yes, I can't. I push these down here. There we go. Oh no. Oh no, it's going too far.
What have you done, man? You've gone too far!
Or maybe you haven't gone too far enough.
I'm nowhere near going too far enough.
Nope,
Okay.
now we've gone too far.
Yes.
Now we have self-recursion.
Yes, we have
Oh, good.
the level inside of itself for this one. I
Oh,
walk out
good.
here, and I also appear right there.
Oh, excellent. You'll love to see it.
Oh, I hate it. My head hurts.
There are 2 kinds of people in this world. And I'm both of them.
I mean, Races, this game was fun for about 5 minutes and I'm already done.
He's just like, oh, we are Dunyan rings.
I will say it's not. At least it looks like it's not perfectly infinite. There is a top level.
Unlike
Maybe I'm
reality,
just-
which really
maybe
does
I'm
go
just-
all the way down.
I'm pretty sure that it just does recur like that. You can't. There is no top level. You will always be outside and inside.
Okay.
Hey, GC.
Hey. Baba is square.
Baba is square, yes. That's what we're playing.
One where you squeeze your body through everything. Apparently, that's what I'm told, anyway.
That's how it work.
Let's see. So, how everybody's doing on this fine Friday night?
I'm alright.
I'm tired. But I tried
Yeah,
to not
that's
take a
weird.
nap today to finally fix my sleep schedule, so...
How'd that work out for you?
I mean, I didn't take a nap. That's as far as I've gotten so far.
Best I can describe this as Canadian toast today. Oh boy.
Canadian toast today.
Yes, I am burnt out from work.
Oh,
But
no.
it's a weekend now, so that's good. Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous run. Okay. Pretty cool. Yeah, toast, Ashley says. Okay.
Yeah, toast.
Not unlike a brave toaster. Yeah, no, I remember that we were talking about like the creepiest parts of that movie back then. But yeah, for me, it was also the air conditioner. I couldn't get out of my mind that that appliances could have feelings back then, and I'm like, I don't want to break my appliances.
GC, how could you break your toaster's heart?
How did I break my
Little
hourglass?
neodymium heart.
My poor hourglass is here looking at me with those sad eyes, saying, "Why don't you flip me over for a half hour like a normal person?" And I said, "Yeah, sure."
Because if you flipped it over for a half hour, it would be a half-hour glass.
Yeah, that's what it is. Ironically, though, the one I got looks almost exactly the one from the Days of Our Lives opening too. I said, "Wow, how did somebody find
Sands
that?"
through the hourglass, so is GC's appliance.
Yes, I remember my mother used to watch it all the time growing up. I'm not
Is
sure
it
what the
still
whole.
on the air? I bet it's still on the air.
You know, I gotta find out.
Thank
really.
you, Warbird, for the subscription.
Oh, yay! Thanks, Warbird! Warbird is the bird of war, and that's why they call him Warbird. That's your theme song now.
Does bird war?
Did you say does bird war?
No, why does bird war?
Oh, well, that's a good question.
Why does Burt Ward?
Why does Burt Ward? Because Adam West.
All I remember about when my mother used to watch Days of Our Lives is that it was basically every family trying to backstab each other. And in some seasons they got called the worst, the devil shows up. And he's like, "Okay, this shit's over."
Wait, the devil showed up in Days of Our Lives?
It happened one time. Apparently what they did when I was watching with my mother, they somehow at one season they started delving straight into like fantasy. And that was a real jump right there. And yes, it was literally that the devil possessed somebody in the family. That's what it was going on.
That's funny. I never knew they went that far.
Yeah, I remember the scene. It was like the devil possessed one of the mothers in the family who died. Fachi died, and they went to her funeral, and just when the son was there, all she said, "Don't die on me, Mom." Up to her eyes is the devil's eyes. He's like, "Oh no, yes." That was the twist.
Good twist.
Um,
Every
I
soap
think-
opera should just bring in Satan at some point.
yeah, just throw a curveball in there.
Less curveball and more hackneyed writing, but you know.
Potato, potato.
Yeah, exactly.
Tomato, tomato.
Banana, banana.
Banana, banana, banana. Banana, banana, banana.
Oh yeah, I just read it up about right now. Yes, it was a thing on the show, but it wasn't called Satan. It was called the Devil. My bad. But yeah,
Well, I mean, again, potato, potato.
yeah,
So, in most popular media, is there really a strong distinction? It's like I feel like in most media, Satan, the devil, and Lucifer are all the same person.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's only when you get into theology and demonology that people start splitting hairs.
Oh, well, Ashley says the devil is stealing days of our lives. Okay. Oh my.
There you go.
I thought he was gone. But again, after we finally moved out from where we were at, we stopped watching the show. But it was still funny a bit before we moved, though. It was like the last thing I remember. The devil shows up.
It does happen that way sometimes.
What?
Fish then. It's gonna be a problem. Just don't screw up the movements, okay?
Just don't screw up. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what the reset button's for.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
If you say so.
I do say so. All you have to do to avoid failure is to succeed.
Big Large says, this looks like a game for squares. Anybody ever play Bully for PlayStation 2?
I did not, but I knew
Or-
of it.
The Xbox 360, yes.
That was actually a pretty nifty game back then.
Yeah. Rockstar is pretty good at doing the one game they always do.
Okay. I still remember though how back then it was like, oh man, they were going to consider that like it's going to be a Grand Theft Auto, but for bullies or school kids. You're all going to become bullies after playing this game. And it turns out it's not really like that at all.
That's exactly what it was. It was Grand Theft Auto for school kids.
Yes, but they felt like you're going to go to school bullying, get into a car, start shooting the cops and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I see. They thought it was going to be hyper violent.
Yes, hyper violent. Also, I heard back then there were some people that were legitimately thinking that would traumatize people that would get into that were being bullied, but no, it was actually a lot more tame. The worst you could do in that game was hit a school teacher or a girl, and then yeah, that's it. You're going to what you say detention.
You're going to jail.
The game's version of the jail. And I was
Wait,
actually pretty
couldn't you go to actual jail in that game? I feel like you could.
No, it was detention. If let me see here.
I feel like if you went out into the town and like messed up, you would not go to detention. You would go to like juvie for a day.
I don't recall it, but I'll
Don't
double check.
remember.
Don't ask me, I just work here.
But one of the things I really liked about the game back then was they actually had Jimmy actually had to go to school of course the school classes were basically mini games. For math, you do simple math, and English, you do simple English. And I'm
It
trying
was
to
an
remember.
educational game in disguise.
Yeah. And I said that was pretty well, not so much as creative. I mean, it was a very simple idea, but still, for a Rockstar game, that was pretty cool back then. Another thing I just remembered, even though there was funniest thing about I remember thinking back on it, it was actually the nerds that had the violent weapons in the game, which was hilarious, like rocket guns.
Can't trust them nerds.
Nerds were technically the most powerful faction in that game,
Yeah,
wildly enough.
but the story is basically that they're the weakest, though.
Okay, so there is a top layer here. If I push the level outside of itself, I'm no longer recursive.
Big hearts. Ew, education.
We
And Ashley says Rick broke reality.
all knew Rick was going to break reality sooner or later.
Well, look at Kitsune. He's already breaking reality as it is. Yeah.
Apparently, yeah, if I do that, doesn't look like I can get back inside anymore. Big McLarchuch said, "I've heard of Squarespace, but this is ridiculous."
Oh boy, it's gonna be one of those nights.
Why, Miller? It's a simple night for simple headaches.
JC's like, Miller. It's just like every night.
The same thing we do every night.
Try to live with our pants off.
Just say try to live with our... Is someone going to kill us?
You never know.
You have your pants off, you no longer live. Them's the rules.
Well, I'm dead. I died doing what I loved, not wearing pants.
Apparently, it was one of my requirements to join you guys. Yeah, kid.
World eat.
World eat what?
Well, we'll see.
World eat Jimmy?
You beat me to it.
I just do that. There you go. They're telling me to zoom in and out right here, right? Can't do that.
I gotta head out for just a little bit. I'll be back in probably 30 minutes. My brother needs me. Catch you later.
10-4. Well, what shall we do in GC's absence? Probably the same thing we did in his presence.
Yes. Talk about how Canadian GC is.
Yeah.
It's true. He's so darn
I'm
Canadian.
gonna draw maple leaves all over his profile picture for when he gets back.
Oh, I see. That's why this is called Eat. Because you push the boxes the other way around. So it's like they're eating the boxes.
Oh ho. Oh ho ho ho. Oh ho 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 ho.
This is
Big McLarge who says, so fam, I need your help. My brother-in-law is coming over. I need a cheesy B-movie cult classic.
Oh dear lord.
Hands of Manos.
I mean, God. Ask me to name a favorite.
Want to go top of the
child,
list?
I don't-
That's top of the list.
Manos, the Hands of Fate.
Yes.
I mean, that's certainly a certain definition for top of the list.
He says, no
It's-
Manos, Hands of Fate.
No Manos. Yeah, the problem with Manos is it's so bad it's difficult to get through it unless you're watching the MST3K
Yes.
version.
Drifter Clap says, the Blob. Big McLarge says, no Manos, Hands of Fate. And we did that one, the Blob. You
Which
did the
one? Did
50s
you do
Blob
the
or the
original
80s
or-
Blob?
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you do the original or the remake? Here, I'll tell you one. Good luck finding this one, though. This one's kind of obscure. Look up Spookies. Thank me later.
Masters of the Universe 1987.
Oh, I love Masters of the Universe. That's also a good one to put on the list. I know it's a bad movie, but it was a childhood movie, so I unironically love it. Ah, Ron Frax knows Spookies. Let's see, what are some other good ones? If you liked The Blob, you might like The Stuff. It's literally the name of it.
Just a good movie, mayhaps.
Look,
Redline.
they said cheesy B movie, so...
I know. More people need to watch Redline. That movie is really good.
What about, now I'm thinking about the stuff. Excuse me.
Stoker just can't stop thinking about that stuff.
I really can't. Can't get enough of that delicious stuff. Really losing my train of thought, in fact. There's, of course, the classic, like, B-movie impersonators, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. And, fucking Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. But I have reservations about recommending that movie to anyone. Because it's like, it's one of those movies that it's an intentional comedy, it's a riff on B-movies, but it's just really kind of dumb, and it knows it's dumb, but it thinks it's dumb in a smart way when it's actually just kind of dumb in a dumb way. You know what I mean, right? It's one of those, like, throw everything at the wall and see what sticks style of comedy movies.
There's a movie that I heard of called Night of the Comet.
Night of the Comet! Yeah, that's an 80s one. That's been on my list. I haven't actually seen that yet. Of course, if you like Night of movies, there's also Night of the Creeps, which is extremely enjoyable. There are so many quotable lines from that movie that you'll never run out of in-jokes. Well, girls, your dates are... Good news is your dates are here. Bad news is they're dead. See. In other cheesy, silly veins, there's, of course, Night of the Lepus.
Yeah, you were talking about that the other night.
Mm-hmm. There's one called Night of the Demon, which I was only recently made aware of. There's actually at least 2 movies by that name, but the one I'm thinking of, one of them is like this very restrained British Gothic horror movie, which is a personal favorite, but the one I'm thinking of is restrained does not appear to be in its vocabulary. It's a movie about a killer Bigfoot that rips people's dicks off.
Uh-huh.
So, there's that.
Oh, now I'm trying to remember. What was the spy movie where it was like kind of a James Bond thing, kind of like an A-Team thing, but there was a baboon as part of the team, and it like drove a tiny tank?
That's not ringing any bells.
Oh, what am I thinking of?
Unless it's bedtime for Bonzo, but I somehow doubt that. Excuse me.
Order of the Black Eagle, 1987.
I'm not familiar with that one. Not familiar with that one. It sounds like I should be.
Duncan Jacks, played by Ian Hunter, must stop neo-Nazis from destroying communication satellites and awakening Hitler from cryogenic sleep.
That sounds like something that would have been made like a year ago.
I think this is the one where they had a plaster model of Hitler melting.
I mean, that's the best possible reason to have a plaster model of Hitler. Like, if you have one for any other reason, I'm gonna ask some questions about you.
Fair.
Oh, you're welcome for spookies. Oh man, I'll have to think. Oh man, Rock and Rule. Why didn't I think of Rock and Rule? Freaking love that movie. It's awful.
It's awful.
But it's awful in such a memorably weird way. And it's animated. It was the first feature-length animated movie ever made in Canada.
Where's GC when we need him?
I know, right? I'm gonna bring it up when he comes back. God, God, I love rock and roll. There's another one I learned about very recently that I'm surprised I hadn't heard of before, called The Return of Captain Invincible.
What's that one about?
It is a 1980s superhero musical with lyrics by frickin' Richard O'Brien, i.e. the Rocky Horror guy, who also plays the dad on Phineas and Ferb. And it's about a superhero who was really big during, like, World War II. He was forced into early retirement by McCarthyism. And they have to bring him, the US government in desperation turns to him to come back out of retirement because his arch enemy has returned with a dastardly plot. And his arch enemy is Christopher Lee, and Christopher Lee sings in this movie.
Oh, I've seen that scene where Christopher Lee is singing. Okay.
Yeah, the one, because the hero is an alcoholic and he's trying to defeat him by tempting him back to the bottle. Name your poison. He's got such a booming baritone. Oh.
Christopher Lee could do no wrong, so.
Basically, yes. Christopher Lee is like my hero.
Uh-oh, I think we've recursed all the way back to Rogue.
Even the worst movies that Christopher Lee in were better for his having been involved in them. Rubber, yes! The tire with, like, telekinetic powers that falls in love with a girl and explodes people's heads or something like that. God, there's so many great weird movies. What was the one I saw a couple of months ago? Psycho Goreman.
You sure it wasn't like Psycho Gourmand?
No, I'm very sure it was not.
Both of those sound very interesting. So.
I finally got around to watching one last night. It's a bit more mainstream, but I never got a chance to see it back when I was working in the movie theater, and finally got a chance to see it at last. It's Ready or Not. Did any of you see that one?
Never heard of it.
Oh, really? It's a fun fun story. Basically, you've got this woman, this young lady, who is marrying into this very eccentric, super rich family. And they have a ritual whenever anyone marries into the family, a tradition.
Oh,
where,
so it's what was the Jordan Peele movie?
Get Out?
Yeah.
It's I'd say it's in the same vein, because it's definitely got quite a bit of comedy to it, and it's definitely very socially conscious. But it goes in some different directions. So the family gets together anytime a newcomer marries into it, and they play this game where they draw cards from a box to see what game they play. And most of these cards are pretty harmless and just normal games, but if anyone pulls the card that says hide and... If the new person in the family pulls the card that says hide and seek on it, then the game is, oh, we have to hunt you and kill you before sunrise.
Huh.
Ah. So they turned Family Game Night into a horror movie. Okay.
Yes, they do. I mean, to be fair, with some families, it already is. But, yeah, it's extremely entertaining. I definitely recommend it.
Okay, now the recursion's getting a bit much for me.
Rick's like, now it's breaking my brain. I didn't say it could break my brain.
I just hope it doesn't get much worse than this.
Oh,
But I'm sure it's gonna.
We're still like, what, half an hour in? DJ Nightfire says, "Hey, how's it going, everyone?" And hey at Rick Griffin.
Hello.
It's going alright. We're talking weird movies here. Is there a streaming service that has spookies available? It was on Shudder at one point. I don't know if it still is. And it may have moved on to something else. For all I know, it might be on Arrow Video or Amazon Prime or... I don't know. There's probably more dubious sources of it. I doubt this is a movie where the copyright is enforced very ardently. Not that I'm saying to go do that, but if you were to do that, you'd probably get away with it. Oh yeah, Tubi does have a lot of surprising, wacky horror movies. That's where I watched Peeping Tom the other night. Was surprised to see that anywhere. Again, that's one that's been on my radar for ages. What was another one I finally got around to that's been... Oh yeah, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is described as the first Iranian vampire western movie.
You know,
Not really.
yeah, I would also make the first, XYZ movie if I just pulled 3 random things out of a hat.
Oh god, Tubi has Fursonas. Is that one of the, 3 furry horror movies I've heard of?
I saw there was one recently that has somebody I know in it.
Somebody you know from the fandom?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so funny.
He's in fursuit in the movie.
I mean, why wouldn't you be? Yeah, there's one called Lone Wolf.
Maybe done the other way around.
We've reached the point where they're making horror movies about us. That's so fun.
In
Yeah. Uh-oh. This one does just infinitely recur. There's... How many layers do I have? Let's see. Yeah,
A question that
there's
every
4
artist
layers.
has to ask.
how many layers am I on, my dude?
Which layer am I on, my dude? Please, God, let it be the sketch layer.
This needs to be the last one.
Or is it don't let it be the sketch layer?
It's usually don't let it be the sketch layer.
Well,
When you're
every
doing
now
the
and then you do
sketch,
want
it's
it to
usually
be.
the only layer you have.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're doing coloring or shading, and you're doing your shading on the sketch layer, then that's a problem.
Excuse me.
Um.
Oh, here's another somewhat obscure-ish cult movie that's worth checking out at least once. It's a, I believe, late 70s movie called Tourist Trap. And it's about a group of young folks on a trip driving through the backwoods of wherever. And they stop to check out this little, tourist trap, which is like this little historical wax museum, and end up running afoul of a masked psychopath with telekinetic powers who can make the wax figures move.
Okay. Sounds like your average everyday sort of family vacation.
Yeah, exactly. If I had a nickel for every time. Woohoo! Yeah, see, you are a connoisseur, I can tell.
Hey Stoker, can I DM you a trailer for a cheesy action movie?
Sure. I cannot guarantee I will watch it until after the stream is over, but yes, by all means. Excuse me. You don't say.
I hated it when The Witness did this sort of thing.
Oh. Yeah, that looks like a painful effect.
Oh. I need to get the square in first.
Gotta get the square peg in the round hole. That's what they taught me. That's what they taught me in high school health class.
If your peg is square, you may need to go see the nurse. I'm just saying.
Same thing, but reverse.
Having one of those moments where I'm thinking of a thing to say and being just like, nah, that's crossing a line.
Nemesis, 1992. Cannot decide if familiar or not.
Oh yeah, Lunchbox, if this is making you sick, you can look away for a while and we'll tell you when it's over. I understand that this might cause motion sickness in some people.
It is slightly dizzying.
It's making me motion sick, and I'm not usually motion sick.
Rick's like, it's giving me sicknesses I never knew I had.
Patrick's asking, are there motion sickness settings? Let me see.
You know, that is a fair point. There are a lot of games who do that these days, aren't there?
Not sure how you would have that mechanic there, and
Yeah.
Maybe just go more slowly, because the speed is part of the problem.
Have an unlock all puzzles button, just in case you're casual.
In case you're a filthy casual.
Yeah. Movement settings, enter speed, instant camera zoom, allow rapid inputs. No, that's just for character movement.
Welp.
Display setting. You can turn off particles, nothing else. Bonus features. They do have slow motion. I assume that random puzzle orientation and colors. Change visual representation.
What's that supposed to mean?
again. I have to get this box inside of itself.
That seems about right.
This box... No. That just goes to the infinite loop. Uh-oh. That's another infinite loop.
Oh boy.
I got an achievement for that.
Robert asks, anyone going to see Bad Guys or Sonic 2?
I've already seen Sonic 2. I saw it in an early preview showing a couple of nights ago. And I do intend to see Bad Guys. But yeah, I can't believe I didn't think to mention that I'd seen Sonic 2. I saw it Wednesday evening.
That's how you get the box inside of itself. At this rate.
Without going into
Bad Guys, what are you, a furry?
I mean, yes.
Oh, right.
Without going into any spoilers from Sonic 2, it was more or less what I expected, in ways both good and bad.
Yes.
It is still the best theatrically released movie adaptation of a video game franchise that we have so far, but that is damning with the faintest of praise. These movies are they're remarkable not because they're extremely good, they're remarkable because they're not extremely bad.
No, I understand what you mean. I think the Warcraft movie was the biggest example, or at least it had the biggest disparity of like expectation versus what was actually happened, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the one where everyone was just like, finally, this is going to be the video game movie that changes everything. And it was awful.
Yeah, when I worked at the theater, when that was out, barely anybody came to see it. Like, I forgot we were playing it for a while.
Can't blame you.
Ah, well. So it goes.
That you always say?
Yes.
C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. That's life. That's what I always say. La vie.
Oh yeah, and then there's also the Mario
It's
movie
getting
coming
so
out.
Game's getting so absurd.
Yeah. The Mario movie starring Christopher Pratt.
Yeah. If that's not an early warning sign, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
All I can say is I just don't want them to somehow shoehorn Chris Pratt in as the voice of a character in the Sonic franchise. There was an article some time ago that's like, oh, Chris Pratt and talks to join the Sonic franchise, and I was just like, will we never be free?
Chris Pratt playing Shadow the Hedgehog.
You bite your tongue, sir. That is way too probable.
Chris Pratt's a new Shia LaBeouf.
Miss the old Shia LaBeouf in that case. Even though he is an actual cannibal.
Oh man, Rick, the other day on your Picardo stream, you were watching Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind. I did not realize how many stars are in that movie.
Oh, in the English dub?
Yeah, I knew Patrick Stewart was in it. I didn't realize Mark Hamill was in it. I didn't know Shia LaBeouf was in it, and I didn't know Hideaki Anno did all of the scenes with the Great Warrior.
Man, Mark Hamill's in everything.
He is, isn't he?
He is.
I mean, not really, but you know.
Everything. Without exception.
He's not in every Batman, and that's a crime, honestly.
Honestly, yes, I would agree with that. That is criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Absolutely crimgiminal.
Crimjiminy, crimjiminy, crimjiminal. I don't have anything else to follow that up with.
Oh, Benoit is confused? Oh, but... Benoit is confused, but his ears are very crooked looking.
The Benoit.
Wait, were they not always like that? No, the ears were normal, straight up, or whatever, earlier. There's a couple of expressions for the PNG tuber.
maybe I don't duplicate the green one. Maybe I duplicate the blue one since it's already inside of itself.
It looks like what you need to do is try to find a way to get the green one inside of itself.
I thought I was... Yeah, once I push the green one out, it would be inside of itself, but I have to do that without actually trapping any of these against the wall. Yeah, like that.
This music is going to be another one of those things that slowly drives us insane, isn't it?
Oh, so I have it turned down really low. Sounds like I should count myself lucky for that.
Look, it's just a simple little happy tune.
There we
It goes
go.
do 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 do.
I have to pull all the boxes out as I go out. Need to put the box in a place where I'm not going to shove out boxes so that they get stuck. There we go. Ding. So, what new fresh hell awaits us?
Only the freshest of hells.
For our customers. Ah, my ear. Why? Why would
Truly,
my
we
ear
spare
do
no
such a thing?
expense.
That could fit onto this wall. And I push it back and it goes to the middle. Weird that this hasn't actually come up yet. only need to get to the middle. Oh, you have to go through the middle. Okay.
That's how it goes sometimes.
Hello, Desk Hyena. What the Roo doing? The Roo is playing a puzzle game called... Let me get it correct. Patrick's Parabox.
I was gonna say Boxy von Boxenstein, so.
Same diff. Can't enter this way. Squish, 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 squish.
Excuse me.
I don't think this will do anything good. That doesn't do anything. Wait, I just do that. Idiot. Do. Am I supposed to have enough boxes for this?
That's why I've asked every single time I've ever tried to move.
Oh, I see what they want me to do. How do I get it in without pinning it? Oh, I see. Just have to do it again. No, I don't get it. Unless I can just block it off with the one box. Thought I did that already. Yeah, I did that already. That doesn't work either. So how do I have enough boxes for this?
Maybe you just don't.
Level's impossible, the end.
Solved it. There is no solution.
This is like the, what is it, Kobayashi Maru? I'm sure I mangled that, but whatever.
Close enough.
Close enough for government work.
There was one I saw earlier today that was like a Google interview question that was like, how would you find the amount to charge to wash every window of every building in Seattle? Or how would you make a business to wash every window of every building in Seattle?
All right. And what was the solution that was presented in this?
Solution is you can't do that. Because it rains 180 days out of the year. Nobody ever in Seattle would ever pay to have their windows washed.
I should have thought of that. Oh, these tricky people.
Because it showed like the video I was watching was just like one person came in and just be like, I don't know, I'm a developer. I don't know like how to make a business. They're like, all right, you're out of here. Second person come in. They're like, oh, 100 windows for 100 buildings, $100 each. There you go, $1 million business. They're like, yeah, that's great. Get out of here. Wrong answer.
That is okay, but listen. At the same time, that's such bullshit to put.
No, I know
through a
exactly,
job
right? This
interview.
is the thing that everybody says when they're like, "Oh yeah, we want to do Google interview questions for a position." What it is they're just giving you a fucking riddle that has a trick answer to it, and like has nothing to do with the discipline of what you're actually working with.
I just, I'm picturing Frank Gorshin as the Riddler from the old Adam West Batman as the interviewer here. It's just like, where does an 800-pound gorilla sleep? Wherever it wants! It's just that level of buffoonery.
The ones that really irritate me are the ones where they're like, we want to do, Google level interview questions for whatever job we have. And then so what they literally do is they just copy and paste the Google interview questions from like 3 or 4 years ago because they're not actually clever enough to come up with any of their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, it's so irritating.
What can I tell you? What can I tell you?
I don't know.
There was this.
Can't tell me anything.
There was this video rental, family-owned video rental store in Oklahoma back when I lived there. I had considered applying for them once, but I got annoyed by one of the things that I heard about them. They make you take like a freaking full-on math test, and I don't mean like, addition, subtraction. I mean, they give you like weird word problems and algebra stuff to work as a cashier at a video rental store. And just the concept of that annoyed me so much that I never even went out for the job. Because
solve this derivative.
Ostensibly, they're like, it's in case the register goes down. I'm like, yeah, okay, but you're not going to need to do quadratic equations if the register goes down. You just need to be able to make people their change. It ain't that hard. You're just doing this because you're weird and you can. Like that one adult store that I applied for once that had frickin' handwriting analysis on your application to determine your personality.
Yeah. That's no good.
Yeah, it's probably not legal.
That's the no, I wouldn't say that. They don't have to. They're allowed to do whatever decisions they want to, beyond, I guess, ADA compliance. But
yeah,
anyway.
but I mean, like ADA compliance could apply to things like handwriting if you're clever about how you do it.
It could be. What I was gonna say is that is absolutely the girlfriend who decides you can no longer date because your horoscopes don't line up correctly. Kind of mentality, or just it's like you have no relative vision of what the world really is, do you? You don't even know what you're talking about.
I would have compared it unfavorably to astrology, but that would have been unfair to astrology.
Tee. He and a he.
That is what we he. But yeah, it's wild out there. Hello, person who just entered.
Hello, person that just entered.
Just GC.
Ah, GC.
Turn once again.
I am
Rock and rule.
Rook and Stones.
Rock and rule. I remembered all this time to bring this up when you came back.
Yeah, do this.
Rock?
Do you have familiarity with rock and rule?
No.
Alright, I'm going to have to revoke your license to Canada.
Yep, you're no longer a real Canadian GC. You don't know what rock and roll is.
Rock and rule or rock and roll? What?
It's rock and rule in this instance.
Yeah.
Rock and Rule is the first animated feature-length animated movie that was made in Canada.
Really? Mm.
Yes, it's not good, but it's still the first.
Oh. Okay.
It's memorable. I'll put it that way. It's very, very memorable and very, very weird. There are good things about it. It's just itself, it is not what you would call a good movie.
Things that Steve Peek's at right now. Ah.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. No. I've never heard this one.
Fascinating.
To be fair, and like I say, I was raised in the Maritime provinces, but there was only like 3 video stores where I was at, and even though one of them had tons of movies, I don't know if I've never something called Rock and Roll and something like that.
Maybe not. Yeah, I never actually got around to explaining to anyone what Rock and Rule is. Rock and Rule is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi epic about I say epic about an aging rock star obsessed with the occult who wants to use the power of a singer's voice to summon a demon to conquer the world. Also, everyone is an animal person.
Ah.
But they don't look like you would think. This was in a weird, like, proto-furry phase where they're kind of like people with very weird noses and ears.
Ah, yes.
This is like the women in Black Sad kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like that, only weirder.
Oof.
And the villain of the piece is the thing that makes it memorable. His name is Mock. They originally wanted to call him Mock Jagger, but the lawyer said no. And his character design is just so strange when you think of him as something that someone has to animate by hand. Like, he's great as an illustration, but nothing about him makes sense in terms of animation when you look at something that you want to be, like, easy to draw over and over again. That is the opposite of what they went for with Mock.
Interesting. I have to check this out.
I have seen this movie more times than I care to admit, and it keeps getting weirder every time.
God, I'm looking at like.
Now, if we're talking about weird furry movies, what's that one weird movie about Noah?
Oh,
with the
El
sexy cat
Arco?
lady. Yeah.
Yeah, the sexy cat lady whose name is Panty. Yeah, that's a thing that exists. Pretty sure that, what's his name? YouTube animation, they made an adult animated movie? That guy.
Saberspark.
Thank you, Saberspark, the one who's totally not a furry except that he is.
Well,
pretty sure he covered it at some point. What? How dare I what?
I'm not a bird, but here I am. That's just kidding. That's best for you. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, GC, are you seriously claiming not to be a furry?
Yes. Okay.
I am going to declare you the mayor of Liartown.
Yeah.
Population U.
I'm.
Population 3.
Population 3. Only it's :3, because he's got a little kitty face.
Yes.
There is a town near here in Texas that has a population of 3.
I'm not surprised. I mean, I've driven through Texas a few times. I've driven through some tiny places. I've driven through a place called Muleshoe.
It has a population of 3, but there's like 10,000 people there every weekend. It's Lukenbach, Texas.
Lukenbach,
Texas. There's a bunch of country songs that talk about it. Basically, it is supposed to be a year-round honky-tonk, where it's just like there's constantly country singers coming in and playing on like the stage that's there in the middle of town.
Ah, I see.
And there's
Okay,
like
that
food
explains
stands and
it.
stuff.
That explains a lot. Okay.
It's very much like a country music and that kind of culture, like theme park, I guess you could say.
Makes sense. When you put it that way, it sounds kind of entertaining.
Been there twice. It was nice.
Have you ever been Lukenbach to go in again?
No, I think I've been there 2 times and I'm good. It's one of those things where if I had somebody visiting for a weekend, though, and they're just like, I want the most Texan thing you give me, I would take them to that.
That, I mean, to be fair, that does sound really Texan. Sounds like almost stereotypically Texan.
Yeah. Look, man, stereotypes, like, came about for a reason.
Uh-oh, that's a sentence that you gotta be careful what the rest of it ends up being.
They're never baseless. They're often
Ruh-roh.
exaggerated to an extreme degree, but they're never baseless. Often it's
And
just
what happened
anecdotal.
then? Well, in Millerville, they say.
Often it's just anecdotal. Like, I knew a
Uh-oh.
whoever was like, uh-oh.
I broke the game in a new way.
Oh.
Got achievement unlocked, Epsilon.
Nice job breaking it, hero.
We got a new trope. Rick breaks the game.
Epsilon Sigma Phi.
I push a clone into another clone.
Yeah, teleporter into itself.
As you do.
Runfax
Wait,
just
I
says
could do
Phi.
that like once, just if I enter it.
Oh, because you would then be in the square that the smaller copy is occupying. Weird.
It was pretty weird.
That's such a weird thing that they found out all the places where they would have like a sort of unsolvable situation and then decided to make it an actual feature of the game.
But you know what? I kind of appreciate that approach to design.
You just gotta hope you didn't miss anything. If there are any sort of loops or recursions that people can make.
I mean,
you
you'd play test it enough, you're eventually going to break the game. So
yeah. It's like the Baba Is You, where you can have Stack Overflows and like actually crash the game. Like, again, that's why Baba Is You, the updates on Switch apparently took forever, is because there were actually things in that game where you could crash it so bad it would boot you back to the Switch OS.
Fantastic.
And like not the
achievement
one
unlock,
the
push
user
against
is supposed
yourself.
not the one the user is supposed to have access to.
Oh wow, now that's something I didn't know about.
Yeah, it would boot back to like the Linux OS or whatever it is.
That's hilarious.
You guys had the Adventures of Tintin for the cartoon in the United States, right?
I think it aired somewhere at some point, but I wasn't like familiar with it whenever it did, if ever it did.
Same.
We had it on HBO in the mornings. It was pretty much a like wake up in the morning kind of show. All I remember is that it was all about Tintin, the cat that had basic punching people.
I mean, that seems like it's an accurate adaptation from what I understand of the Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah.
I was not a Tintin. Like, I didn't really know about that series or care about it growing up. The one I did read and know of a lot, though, was Asterix.
Asterisk. Or Asterix, whatever. The Viking dude.
Yeah, the Gull.
The gall of that guy!
Tempo Tempest Easter is 8 days from now, not tomorrow. But yes, it is for the season.
'Tis the season to be Easter.
Or 9 days from now.
Oh shoot, I never publicly posted the Penny Valentine's art, did I?
Did you not?
I put it on
A little late
Patreon.
on that.
I put it on Patreon, but I forgot to make the public post.
Oh, I see. Do you guys do like a 1 month delay sort of thing?
Usually it's less than a month, but yes, we do release things on the delay. I don't believe in keeping things perpetually exclusive. I don't know. Something about that just rubs me wrong. But I totally forgot to do that, so I should probably do that soon. And I just happened to think about it because you were talking about Easter, and I was thinking about the Easter work in progress picture I saw the other day. Whoopsies.
I can only imagine.
I mean, you won't have to imagine once it's out.
Well, I probably have to imagine for a month longer. I'm not on the penny Patreon.
How could you, Miller? Aren't you made of infinity dollars?
Not since I got laid off a month ago.
Oh, that's right. How's the job hunt going?
Eh.
Yeah, that seems about right. Par for the course, as I understand it. Keep having dreams that I'm working at my old movie theater again. Not super into them. In one of them, I dreamed that I was volunteering there.
Ugh.
Yeah, right? Like, how... No? No. How about no?
Won't be seeing the Sonic movie this weekend, but I hope to see it next week. I hear some good things about it.
There is some good stuff. It's definitely got more Sonic franchise fan service than the first movie did. Which I approve of. The human beings have less screen time than they did in the first movie. Still too much, but they have less screen time.
Yes. Look, another thing I gotta laugh at is when people say, look, Jim Carrey's not even human. He doesn't count.
He doesn't count. No, he does not count as one of the human beings.
I laughed at that.
Yeah, he absolutely does not count.
No.
The main characters of this movie are Sonic the Hedgehog, Miles Tails Prower, Knuckles the Echidna, Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, and human beings that we don't care about.
I remember at the end of the first movie, they sort of hinted that Robotnik had more of like that classical look where he had the bald head and the big orange mustache and stuff.
Yeah, he has gone in that direction in this movie. He's still a bit on the thin side to be classic Robotnik. But otherwise, yeah, they stick with that for the duration.
That's fine. I don't expect him to be like
Egg-shaped.
actual
No.
egg shape or whatever.
The funny thing is, Carrie has said he would be down for wearing a suit like that.
Yes, and I'd love to see it because I would bet they would make him like the Grinch, and when he says it like that.
Yeah.
He's just been like, I don't know, maybe down the line. But now he's talking about retiring from acting, so maybe they'll have to recast the part in the first place. Who knows?
I think he's gonna do it.
I assume that Carrie means that he's not going to take on any new projects.
Maybe.
It seems like he's loving the Sonic Sonic ideas.
I mean, it's gotta be fun to play.
The way he played the first one, oh man, I loved it. In fact, like I said, I went to the whole movie just to see him in act, and he was like, he had the energy, I could tell. I loved it.
It's a very different version of Robotnik / Eggman than I'm used to, but it's still pretty fun in its own right.
Well, that's the way I look at it. Like the Sonic movies, the first one was very fun to watch. I wasn't really into it for the plot. I just knew it was fun to watch, and that was it.
That's, to be fair, in most official Sonic media, you can't really be too into it for the plot. If you go into it for the plot, you are usually going to be disappointed when it comes to Sonic media.
It's just, we want the action, we want the music, and we just want to see some humor.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Guess I just use the clones for this.
Heck, I don't really watch the Sonic movie, but I'll be honest, I watch it because I loved Tails. Tails was so damn adorable. And
Tails is good. Tails is always good in every version of Sonic forever. Tails is perfect. Tails has never done anything wrong. If Tails wants to cheat on his taxes like Yoshi, I'll allow it.
if Tails wants to raise Kitsune, I'll allow it. Tails the Dad Miles Prowess.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm just messing with you, Stoker.
Okay, I'm just making sure I'm hearing what you're saying.
Okay. Not sure what I did, but it worked.
I remember when I was watching, when I watched the very first Sonic cartoon, I was like, The Adventure of Sonic, I was like, what's gonna happen when he get older? What's Tails gonna be like is he gonna grow more tails? Is he gonna be, how many tails is he gonna grow? What's Kid's gonna be like?
Every 5 years he grows another tail.
Because he can't be a kid forever, I said, but yeah, they went down that route.
And yet he can be. Because no Sonic character has aged in the past 30 years.
Because isn't he like over 200 years old? Like just having two tails?
I mean, if he's over 200 years old, he certainly doesn't remember it. I think, okay, so Sega has canon ages for every character, and most of the canon ages make no sense whatsoever. I'm just going to throw that out right here. Everybody in the Sega's canon ages, they're all too young. They make no sense.
Amy Rose is 18. She's barely legal.
No, Amy Rose is 12.
Oh god, no, what?
Amy Rose's age in Sega canon is 12.
Oh god, please no.
Sonic is 15.
What?
Knuckles is, I think, 17. Rouge is the one who's barely legal. Which I do not believe. If Rouge is a day under 24, I will eat my Rubik's Cube.
That's just the anime thing. They just say that the characters are like teenagers, even though they all act like they're at least 30.
Oh yeah, because it's like, how old is Cloud Strife in Final Fantasy? He's like 15 or
17?
something.
I think he's
Yeah.
17.
He, if I remember correctly, he's in his 30s. Double check.
Tails
go.
is the official word of God Sega canon on Tails is he is 8 years old.
Yeah, I don't
God.
believe that.
And what other?
See,
what
I
are
thought
some
they
of the
were
other-
all like late teens, maybe early 20s, and then
It would
Everybody-
make sense.
It makes
would
a lot
so
more
much
sense if they're in their.
39, 38, 39. Like she's starting to get a little older.
It just makes more sense if the Sonic characters are in their late teens or early 20s.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Okay.
I don't know. Sonic's like 30 and he's been divorced twice.
Okay, so Cloud Strife was 21 and Final Fantasy 7.
That's still older than I expected based on the way
Like,
the
I feel like
absurdities
you
of
can't
Japanese
have-
media.
You can't have Rouge play this like dominatrix character if she's like 22. That just doesn't compute.
No, like I said, she's 18.
That doesn't make sense though. She needs to be like late 30s, early 40s.
No, see, I think, like I said, I think mid-20s is reasonable for her. But going below that, like, I mean, and that has nothing to do with her being Dommy. Like, I mean, I went to high school with some girls. But, she just, I don't know. She just, nothing about her. She doesn't look or act. It's just dumb. It's dumb. Of course, this is the same company that tells us that Dr. Robotnik has an IQ of 300, so...
Their numbers are don't match. I know. Just like
Their
how
numbers are
Capcom
kind of
didn't
absurd.
Well, I learned that Capcom doesn't know their dinosaurs, and that's
And then they're gonna come out and say like, oh yeah, Sally Acorn is actually like 69.
Nice. But now Sally, last I checked in the Archie canon, Sally did actually have a birthday at some point, so she was about 16 or 17 in the canon. But that canon is frickin' I don't know how old it is at this point. She's had a couple of other birthdays in between now and then, I'm just saying. And you can't even say in the Archie thing, it's like, oh, years work differently there, because it's like, no, Archie's Sonic canon is that the planet Mobius is just a post-apocalyptic future Earth. Spoilers.
That was pretty much the thing they were going with at the first, weren't they? Robotnik basically made the whole world apocalyptic.
No, it was before Robotnik that it got post-apocalyptified. Well, okay. Yes, but also... Okay, Alright, you got me started on lore now. Okay.
Sorry. I'll kill it down, but go ahead.
Apologies to everyone in advance. Uncle Stoker is going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog lore.
So I'm looking. So the voice actor for Rouge is Kathleen Delaney, and she was 38 when she did Sonic X. Like that works perfectly for me.
It does. You need to make Knuckles a little bit older, though, because otherwise you've got 38-year-old Kathleen Delaney hitting on 17-year-old Knuckles.
Okay, maybe not 17, but you know what? If Knuckles is like 23, I'm totally okay with that.
She's Rouge.
I totally feel like she could be like a cougar hunter.
Yeah, Rouge the Cougar.
Yes!
Cougar best.
Absolutely Rouge the Cougar.
But, God, I love the fact
that so well with her personality, I think.
I love that this is what this conversation has become. But, okay.
Well, even robots found love, apparently that's a thing.
The Saturday morning cartoon, Sonic the Hedgehog, which is the only Sonic cartoon which has ever just been called Sonic the Hedgehog. All the others have been like The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, or Sonic Underground, Sonic X, Sonic Boom, etc. This is the only one where they just said, you know what? Fuck it. It's Sonic the Hedgehog. That's its title. And because it came on Saturday mornings, people started calling it the Sat-Am show, Sat-AM, because otherwise they couldn't differentiate it from the other Sonic cartoon that was airing at the same time on different networks, because Sonic has been ridiculous from day one. And I could go into why there were two cartoons being simultaneously made by the same production studio for two different outlets, but I don't want to, so I won't.
I don't blame you. It's
So,
probably Sega history is sort of stretchy with that kind of thing, from what I hear.
the premise of the Sonic Saturday cartoon, upon which the Archie comics is based, is that Dr. Robotnik and his nephew, whose name is Snively, took over pretty much the entire planet. They overthrew the kingdom with Sally's father, the king, and all that in a coup d'etat. And Robotnik started using this thing called the Roboticizer to turn people into literal robots with no free will and no minds of their own, and start slowly just like expanding into everything over the whole planet and building more robots and more factories to cull more wilderness, capture and roboticize more people, and enslave the entire world. And so
as you do.
As you do. So it's presented as like, the main characters are freedom fighters fighting against Robotnik's reign, doing little hit and run sabotage missions, and that Sonic is his arch enemy because Sonic is the only one with superpowers. Unless you count Bunny, who's part robot, and that makes her super strong. It's Bunny Rabot. See, they did a thing there. But, they eventually go into a little bit of the lore and the backstory. There was some kind of war that ended just prior to Robotnik's coup. They never say who the war is with or anything like that. So the comics then they also don't go into why Robotnik and Snively are apparently the only human beings in the world of furries. They had some ideas for that in the show Bible, apparently. They never went into any of the backstories, so it went to the comics to fill in the blanks there. So
Don't talk about Sonic Bibles. Those things are always cursed, from the very first one to that am and all in between.
Sonny Hedgehog was born in Hardy, Nebraska.
Uncle Chuck wanted to create a robot defensitizer to make you live longer.
Eggman is his father figure because he taught him to read and write and be intelligent.
I think that was one of the things they mentioned.
But so in the Archieverse version, way back before any of this happened, human beings of planet Earth got into a war with an alien race called the Xorda. It's like Xorda. I don't know how you'd pronounce that for sure. Zorda, I don't know.
Zordon.
I feel like you have to when you say it, or else it just doesn't come out right.
You
But
gotta put the ham in it.
yeah, you have to put some of the in there.
You gotta get some of the challah.
But and this reduced the Earth to wasteland, etc., etc., etc. And then after a long enough time, human beings survived, albeit in a slightly mutated form, and furries came into existence because why not? And so there was a whole race of human beings in the Archie comics. They called them Overlanders. I don't know why. And Robotnik and Snively came from them. And the whole premise of there being a great war before the events of the series was about the kingdom of Sally's father, which is called the Kingdom of Acorn in the comics, they were at war with the humans, with the Overlanders, and Robotnik was a defector who went over to Sally's father's side, but of course all of it was a trap. It was all part of his game of four-dimensional chess. And
I remember that too. Wow.
yeah, I remember so many things. So many things. I will one day be a very old man, unable to recall the names of family members, but I'll still be able to tell people what happened in issue 72 of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Joker, the media encyclopedia.
So that's where it is. Earth post-apocalypse becomes Mobius somehow or another. And also there are echidnas there, and the echidnas are basically just Kryptonians because Ken Penders never got over superhero comics.
That was the vibe I got back then too, but it honestly tried to mix in, well, of course, comic books with TV Saturday morning cartoons with Sonic. That was the vibe I got back then when I used to read them.
Yeah, well, I mean, the original idea was that they would kind of utilize both of the cartoons as a source of inspiration. Because, like I said, you had the Sonic Sat-Am, which was the one that people remember most vividly because it had, like, a plot. And you had The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was very wacky, very Looney Tunes, very bizarre in retrospect.
I remember the theme song.
And that's the one that Sega liked the best, funny enough, of all the American cartoons. But the original plan with the Archie comics was to try and mix the approaches of both of them together. And so the early Sonic comics, while they have the characters from the Sat-Am, and get most of their names right. It's funny because they were working with an outdated show Bible, so they did in fact get a lot of things wrong when they first started being published because, like, you know, this stuff has to be prepared like ages in advance. So by the time it actually was being printed, there was a lot of stuff that had changed that they didn't know about. Including there's a character from the cartoon whose name is Rotor. He's a walrus. And in the early comics, they called him Boomer. And you better believe that there is at least one panel where Sally says, "Okay, Boomer," and that has been co-opted by the fandom at this point. But
as it should be.
As it should be. But early on, they wanted to try to hybridize these approaches, so the early comics were full of, like, goofy humor and puns and all kinds of silly stuff. And I think even the Sat-Am itself started out a little bit more in that vein before they settled on what the tone of the series was going to be. But after a couple of years of being produced like this, maybe 2 years, it became really clear to the comic people that the Saturday morning cartoon was the one that the fans were responding to the most, the one that they were into the most. So they started trying to match its tone with mixed results. And along came Ken Penders to start filling in all the lore and backstories. Which, I mean...
Down, Stoker, down, I know.
Ken Penders.
Pat, pat, pat. All right. But yeah, that was a pretty good backstory. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. I
There we
could
go. That's weird.
go on at much greater length, unfortunately. I really could.
But it's also
Here,
midnight.
It is also midnight. Y'all have been saved by the bell.
Oh wow.
From Sonic Hell.
I don't consider it Sonic. It's pretty insightful, but of course, like I said, I'm way out of touch with the Sonic series ever since I was a kid. I'm trying to remember when I stopped watching it, really, but it was just after. Oh yeah, actually, it was after the Adventure of Sonic. Funny enough, when this only season 2 was over.
Yeah, it's I mean, the SatM show only got 2 seasons, and it ended on a cliffhanger because they were sure they were going to get a 3rd season for some reason. Well, I mean, the frickin' Super Mario Brothers movie also ended on the cliffhanger, like they thought they would actually get a sequel. It's weird that they assumed they were going to get a a 3rd season because I mean they had plans and everything. But it's a weird assumption to make because one, the network they were on, ABC, was notorious for canceling shows after their 2nd season. But also, 2, they were competing for ratings with frickin' Power Rangers and losing very badly.
Yeah.
Oh, Power Rangers was a big thing back then. Yeah.
Yes, it were. Yes, it were.
And we people down where I was at, where I was at school, would love talking about that.
The
nice thing about Power Rangers was that it was cheap.
Yeah, it was very cheap. And the other nice thing about Power Rangers is that it's still going.
It's still going, apparently.
Yes.
Still going.
That fancy karate still is wonders these days.
It's based off of the Japanese Super Sentai series, and those have not stopped and will not stop forever.
Pretty much.
I'm trying to remember, isn't Kamen Rider longer running than Super Sentai?
I don't know. But both of them seem like they've... they tried to repeat the success. I remember when they tried to bring over Kamen Rider as the new, thing for Power Rangers. And it just didn't take. Oh, yeah, and freaking Big Bad Beetleborgs. That was a thing, too.
Oh, yes,
Yep,
the Beetleborgs.
Super Sentai started in 1975. Kamen Rider started in 1971.
God. And people say American superhero franchises go too long.
I have nothing on the Japanese superhero franchises.
Thing on the Japanese franchises, period. People always talk about One Piece being greatest saga, larger than Tolkien can imagine.
God, and how many Godzilla movies are we up to at this point?
Because American comic books, they always say it's like soap operas for boys.
Mm-hmm.
Super Sentai is literally a soap opera format with superheroes.
Yep.
It just keeps going. And it doesn't matter how ridiculous it gets, they're just going to keep going with it.
It's hard to believe this all started with Spider-Man, too. That I still laugh to say. I didn't even know that was how this all started either. He was a freaking Spider-Man.
Everything starts with Spider-Man. It always comes back to Spider-Man in the end.
Yeah.
War and Peace, Spider-Man.
There are 1,046 chapters and counting for One Piece. I thought they were going to end at chapter 1,000. That's what it sounded like.
Yeah, well, you know what, Rick? They lied.
Well, I'm not going to go into it too much, but I've been reading it lately to see how far they're at. They are looking like they're getting pretty close to the end.
They looked like they were getting pretty close to the end since chapter 700 or something.
Well, I'm not going to say mainstream, but yeah, I can only just take my advice. I think they are getting close.
They're in the process of wrapping up all the loose threads, and I mean every loose thread.
Right, but at this point, there's got to be so many of those.
And it's still going to drag on for another 400 chapters.
Well, he has been saying that the Wano arc was basically going to be the big the big arc, and they're in it right now, and it's almost over. So, and from the looks of things, I can see where he's going with it now. So that much I can say. But yeah, after seeing what they're going with Wano, yes, it's I see.
Yep, and then they're gonna have the second series where it's the kid of the main character, and it's gonna be called Bone Piece.
You're talking about Boruto.
Yeah, there you go. Glad you got that.
Collector K9 says the Spider-Man started Sentai thing is a half-truth.
Oh, really?
Which half?
Yes, which half, I'm wondering. I know it probably wasn't the entire story, I just was pretty sure that it was one of the inspirations that started Sentai.
Yeah, it's funny how much, like, there's a lot of Japanese stuff that comes over to the US, and turns out it was based on basically something we put over there. Like Final Fantasy and a lot of those video games, Dark Souls as well.
I mean, the entire Japanese
D&D.
anime style started from Disney.
Yep.
Japanese anime started from Disney. Japanese RPG started from D&D. Japanese Super Sentai started from superhero movies, like Silver Age superhero.
I remember a very Persona. I don't think it was Persona, but there was actually a couple of Japanese video games that were actually inspired by wizardry of all things.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be.
Wizardry is that one that a lot of people in the West don't like because permanent death.
Wizardry was popular enough when it first came out, but that's when all computer games were super clunky anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for coming to our podcast.
Yes.
We hope you all have enjoyed this talk of Sonic Hedgehogs.
If you would like continued reading, go look up Game Maker's Toolkit's video titled "The Birth of the Japanese RPG."
Oh,
hell yeah!
Yes, he talks about how the roots started from Dungeons and Dragons there.
And well, if you want to get even more in the weeds, we all know that D&D exists only because of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So,
but also only exists because of wargaming that was invented in Prussia in the 1800s.
That's true. That is correct. It is a fusion.
Nothing is new.
Oh,
and what a beautiful fact that is about life.
Wargaming was eventually brought over to the U.S. as a hobby. Was in like the 1950s, I think.
No, that seems like the right time for it.
You could always expand an idea to make it better, though.
Yeah, that became like a hobby. Became wargaming hobby, which led to things like Axis and Allies, and then a bunch of people wanted to simplify it, and it kept getting simplified until it became Chainmail, and then Chainmail turned into Dungeons and Dragons because there was like Gary Gygax put in like a bunch of optional stuff for magic and everything, and they were like, "Hey, what about just adapting Lord of the Rings into this sort of thing?" And I think the first Lord of the Rings RPG was called Moria.
That makes sense.
I thought you were about to say it was called Smork.
No, Moria.
Smork. I love Smork. That's my classic old school game.
Okay, now we should probably go to bed now.
Yes, we can learn about this some other time. Have a good night, folks.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.